Good evening, you're watching Primetime News on TV1, live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Juadabdin.
And I'm Mariam Ganavir Shaya. We start off with a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
Major earthquakes strike Myanmar and Thailand. 23 dead, 80 missing. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to undertake state visit to Sri Lanka from the 4th to the 6th of April. Supreme Court schedules hearing date for petitions against rejection of nomination lists for local government elections. 2, including IUSF convener, remanded for court order violation.
In your lead story tonight, Myanmar and Thailand are facing one of the most devastating natural disasters in recent history today, following a powerful earthquake that hit Myanmar early this morning.
The death toll has reached 23, with 20 fatalities reported in Myanmar and 3 in Thailand. Although the full scale of the damage is still being assessed, foreign media are suggesting that the death toll could rise into the hundreds. A strong earthquake struck this morning in Sagaing, Mandalay, about 100 kilometers from Myanmar's capital, Naypyidaw. The earthquake's epicenter was located 16 kilometers northwest of Myanmar's city, Sagaing, at a depth of 10 kilometers. The magnitude 7.7 tremor was felt elsewhere, including in Thailand and southwest China. Myanmar was hit by a strong aftershock of 6.4 magnitude around 12 minutes after the initial earthquake. Around 1 million people live in Mandalay, which is considered Myanmar's cultural and religious heart. The earthquake has caused widespread damage to buildings, roads and homes, particularly in cities like Sagaing and Bago. According to reports, the junta said in a statement that a state of emergency was in effect in 6 of the worst affected areas: Sagaing, Mandalay, Magwe, northeastern Shan State, Naypyidaw and Bago. Mandalay and Naypyidaw airports were both closed after an air traffic control tower also collapsed during the quake. The iconic Ava Bridge fell as powerful earthquake struck Myanmar. The bridge, which connects Myanmar's Ava and Sagaing regions, was seen falling in videos widely shared on social media. Many people are still out in the streets fearing aftershocks. Due to Myanmar's current military rule, information about the disaster has been slow to come through. While the country has experienced smaller earthquakes recently, none have been as powerful as this one. The last earthquake over magnitude 7 occurred back in August 2009. The epicenter of the earthquake was in Mandalay, which is about 1,332 kilometers away from Bangkok, Thailand. Despite the distance, the tremors were strongly felt in the capital and other parts of Thailand. As a result, a state of emergency has been declared in Bangkok. Footage from mobile phones showed the collapse of a 30-story building under construction in Bangkok. Thai authorities have confirmed that 70 workers are still missing following the collapse. Foreign media reports suggest that all public transportation services in Bangkok have been suspended. Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra has urged people to remain cautious and stay alert for further aftershocks. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan embassies in Myanmar and Thailand have confirmed that no Sri Lankans have been affected by the earthquake.
Moving on with local news, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs announced today that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Sri Lanka on a state visit from the 4th to the 6th of April.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Sri Lanka on a state visit from the 4th to 6th April 2025 at the invitation of the President of Sri Lanka, Anurukumara Dissanayake. The Indian Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that during the visit, Prime Minister will hold discussions with his Sri Lankan counterpart, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, and the President of Sri Lanka, Anurukumara Dissanayake. The Prime Minister will also have meetings with senior dignitaries and political leaders. As part of the visit, Prime Minister will also travel to Anuradhapura for inauguration of development projects implemented with Indian financial assistance. During the visit, several memoranda of understanding inked between two nations are expected to be exchanged. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be accompanied by the Minister of External Affairs, the National Security Advisor, the Foreign Secretary and other senior officials of the Government of India. India's Ministry of External Affairs convened a special media briefing on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Sri Lanka.
The Prime Minister will arrive in Colombo on the evening of the 4th of April. There will be a ceremonial welcome there, and the following day, the 5th of April, will be the main day of engagements in Colombo. Prime Minister and President will hold official discussions. They will together dedicate several projects that are being built with Indian assistance in Sri Lanka, and will also witness the exchange of several MOUs pertaining to, as I said, energy connectivity, digitization, defense, health and multi-sectoral grant assistance. The two leaders will also witness the virtual groundbreaking of the Sampur solar energy project. This is in many senses going to be a milestone in the bilateral partnership. The Prime Minister will meet with other political leaders in Sri Lanka during his stay in Colombo. And the President will also host a state banquet in his honor. The following day, on April 6, President Dissanayake and Prime Minister will travel together to the historic city of Anuradhapura. They will pay their respects at the Jayashri Mahabodhi temple there. As you would all be aware, this temple holds a rather special significance in the India-Sri Lanka civilizational partnership, because it is here at this temple that a sapling from the Bodhi tree was brought by Theri Sangamitta, the daughter of Emperor Ashoka, from India, and was planted there in the precincts of the temple. And during the visit to Anuradhapura, the two leaders will also inaugurate two India-assisted projects in Anuradhapura, and the Prime Minister will leave for home later on the 6th of April.
The International Monetary Fund has warned that mismanaged state-owned enterprises could drain the taxpayers' money. A spokesperson for the IMF made this statement in response to a question raised by Newsfirst Zulfikar Farzan following comments in Colombo to expand the capital market to facilitate the growth and development of state-owned enterprises and large corporates.
The International Monetary Fund has stressed that it is crucial that Sri Lanka's state-owned enterprises, or SOEs, are managed in a prudent manner to avoid the accumulation of losses or debts that would eventually need to be paid by taxpayers. An IMF spokesperson responding to a question posed by Newsfirst Zulfikar Farzan pointed out that Sri Lankan authorities have emphasized their commitment to ensure that these enterprises do not become a burden for the budget or government debt. The spokesperson went on to note that in order to allow the economic go at its potential crucial. It is important to ensure that the consumers of services provided by SOEs receive the best value for the price they are being charged. The spokesperson added that it involves running SOEs in the most efficient manner and ensuring that they are free of corruption. Commitments under the current Extended Fund Facility program also include making SOEs more transparent, in particular by publishing audited financial statements of the 52 largest SOEs in a timely manner. On Thursday, Sri Lanka's central bank governor advocated for capital market expansion to boost the country's economic growth.
State-owned business entities as well as large corporates, they should be able to raise capital for their future expansion and development through the capital market. So while keeping the state ownership is one thing, but having public ownership means offering public opportunity to diversify into public ownership from the state ownership. I think when you look at Sri Lankan state ownership, Sri Lankan state owns a large, huge stock of the assets. Over several decades of taxpayer money being funded and developed this thing, I think this opportunity. Even this good for the market developments, capital market developments. You need big state-owned enterprises be listed in the capital market that will provide more opportunities, that will bring in governance and all the important governance measures into state-owned enterprise businesses. This is my personal view. I'm sure government also indicated their willingness to basically provide that opportunities for public ownership compared to state ownership, while keeping certain amount of state ownership, but offering that part to public is the right move in my view. I think that's where you will have opportunities.
Julie Kozak, the director of the communications department of the IMF, speaking to reporters on Thursday, pointed out that reforms in Sri Lanka are bearing fruit and the economic recovery is gaining momentum.
$334 million US dollars was approved by the IMF Executive Board recently. Has that tranche been given to Sri Lanka? If not, why?
What I can also add is that reforms in Sri Lanka are bearing fruit. The economic recovery is gaining momentum. Inflation remains low in Sri Lanka. Revenue collection on the fiscal side is improving, and international reserves are continuing to accumulate. Economic growth reached 5% in 2024, and that was after 2 years of economic contraction. And we do expect the recovery to continue in 2025 in Sri Lanka. These are all very positive developments for Sri Lanka and for the people of Sri Lanka. All of this said, the economy still does remain vulnerable, and therefore it is critical that the reform momentum be sustained to ensure that macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability are durably achieved.
The female doctor at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital who was sexually assaulted successfully identified the suspect, a former army soldier, during an identification parade held today. The identification parade took place before Anuradhapura Chief Magistrate Nalaka Sanjeeva Jayasuriya at the Magistrate's office quarters. Now, following the identification, the case was reconvened in open court.
The Child and Women's Bureau of the Anuradhapura Headquarters Police requested further remand of the suspect, citing ongoing investigations into the crime. The Chief Magistrate accepted this request and ordered the suspect to be remanded until the 10th April. During the proceedings, the suspect requested permission to make a confidential statement regarding the incident. The Chief Magistrate stated that this request would be considered after obtaining a medical report from a psychiatrist at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital. The Chief Magistrate ordered the Anuradhapura Headquarters Police to present the suspect to a psychiatrist and submit the medical report to the court. President's counsel Kalinga Indatissa, along with a team of lawyers, appeared on behalf of the complainant doctor. No lawyer appeared on behalf of the suspect. Two Supreme Court judges, Dilip Nawaz and Priyantha Fernando, announced today that they would recuse themselves from hearing the petitions related to the Admiral of the Fleet, Wasantha Karannagoda.
The petitions were filed by the relatives of 11 youths who were allegedly abducted and disappeared in Colombo and its suburbs in 2008. These petitions challenged the Attorney General's decision to withdraw charges against Admiral of the Fleet Wasantha Karannagoda, who was the Navy commander at the time. The case was scheduled to be heard today before a three-judge bench comprising Dilip Nawaz, Janak Silva and Priyantha Fernando. However, Judges Nawaz and Fernando cited personal reasons for their recusal. As a result, the petitions will now be heard before a different bench on the 15th of September to confirm the facts and proceed with the case. Madhushan Chandrajit, the convener of the Inter-University Students' Federation and the secretary of the Allied Health Sciences Graduates Union, have been remanded until the 4th of April.
Madhushan Chandrajit, the convener of the Inter-University Student Federation and the secretary of the Allied Health Sciences Graduates Union, were remanded when they were produced before the Maliga Kandar Magistrates Court this afternoon. The other 25 students who were arrested have been released on bail. They were arrested early this morning for engaging in a satyagraha in front of the Ministry of Health, violating a court order. The students of the Allied Health Sciences faculty of the University of Peradeniya started the satyagraha yesterday, protesting against the privatization of education. Despite meeting with Health Ministry officials, the discussions did not yield successful results. Subsequently, the students set up a temporary structure in front of the ministry and continued their protest. The court had issued a restraining order preventing protest in front of the Health Ministry and surrounding roads. The protest was organized by the Allied Health Sciences Students Union, the Inter-University Students Federation and the Allied Health Degree Holders Association. A highly critical revelation from the Batalanda Commission report was hidden in the National Archives Department's vault for nearly 25 years. This revelation pertains to the confidential statement given by Vincent Fernando, also known as Reggie, before the Commission.
If there is anything else, you can tell the Honourable Commission.
To prevent such crimes in the future, if these people are released from the tears of innocent parents, such incidents can happen. If my children were of that age at that time, such things could happen to them too. If I don't take such a step now, I will face the same fate.
On the 25th of July 1996 at 3:50 p.m, Vincent Fernando, also known as Reggie, made this statement before the Batalanda Commission. Who is Vincent Fernando, also known as Reggie? Reginald Sylvester Vincent Fernando, also known as Reggie, was a witness before the Batalanda Commission. In 1980, Reggie worked as a sanitary worker and caretaker at the National Youth Services Council's tourist bungalow in Trincomalee. During this period, Ranil Wickramasinghe, the then Minister of Youth Affairs and Employment, visited the tourist bungalow and spent the night there. Reggie said before the Commission that he came to serve as a caretaker of Ranil Wickramasinghe's Batalanda residence following an invitation from Ranil Wickramasinghe. Accordingly, Reggie served as a caretaker of Ranil Wickramasinghe's residence at 2/2 and was provided with accommodation at 2/3. Reggie's confidential statement. On the 25th of July 1996 at 2:20 p.m, Reggie began his confidential statement explaining that he had received legal advice before appearing before the Commission. Excerpt of the confidential statement by Vincent Fernando before the Batalanda Commission.
Yes, the opposition leader called my wife and asked me to come if I was available. That is when I learned that I was needed as a witness for the Batalanda Commission.
At the time of this statement, the opposition leader was former President Ranil Wickramasinghe. Following Ranil Wickramasinghe's invitation, Reggie went to his house but met with his security officer Sudat Chandrasekhara. Translated extract of the transcript.
He said that a Batalanda Commission has been appointed and that you have the opportunity to answer questions related to it.
So what did you say in response to the security officer?
He advised me to go to the police headquarters and answer questions as I had done before with the senior officer.
While giving his confidential statement before the Commission, Reggie said that he was aware of the murders that took place in the Batalanda housing complex. Translated extract of the transcript.
Are you saying that Ranil Wickramasinghe's security officers were talking to Douglas Pearce's subordinates?
Yes.
You said that certain people were killed. Who were they? Not by names, But which group did they belong to?
According to their conversation, they were talking about killing members of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna.
You said you saw people being detained in the bee house. How did you see it?
On one occasion, I went to the place in the evening to meet the army officers on duty. At that time, I saw people with their hands tied and eyes blindfolded, lying on the ground inside a room.
Have you ever heard police officers providing information to the Honourable Minister?
Yes.
Did you ever see the Honourable Minister advising the police officers or army officers not to do such things?
No.
Do you remember any such news reports? Do you recall whether the Minister advised the officers to not engage in such acts when they informed him about the terrorists and their terrorist activities?
Yes, sometimes I heard Douglas Pearce being advised.
What kind of advice did you hear?
He used the words, "out them."
What kind of words?
There were times that he had meetings with Douglas Pearce in his bedroom. I have heard the words, "out them." I do not know more.
You are saying under oath that you heard the Honourable Minister telling Douglas Pearce to out them.
Yes.
What did you understand by out them?
To eliminate them.
You said that various people were detained in certain houses.
Yes.
Did you hear anything from those houses?
Sometimes.
What did you hear?
Sounds of crying.
Did you hear that they were being tortured?
Yes.
Did you hear it clearly?
Yes.
When did you hear it?
In the evening.
Do you know what happens to the suspects detained in those houses after some time?
After investigating, I found that they disappeared after 2 days, and later bloodstains were found in the vans.
In which vehicles?
In the vans.
After giving this confidential statement, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was the opposition leader at the time, was summoned before the commission. A few days before that, Winston Fernando, also known as Reggie, died mysteriously. The entire Batalanda Commission report contains 14,000 pages. Within these 14,000 pages, many details of these serious crimes are included. Now the question remains, when will justice be served for the victims?
News First with the people.
News First, main sponsor.
Tokyo Super, ඕන වැඩකට super. විහිළු නෙමේ Tokyo Super, ඕන වැඩකට super.
The local government election Sri Lanka 2025.
The Supreme Court has scheduled a hearing for the 1st of April to consider 16 petitions filed against the rejection of nomination lists for the upcoming local government elections.
The petitions were taken up by a bench comprising Justices S. Thurai Raja, Mahinda Samyawardena and Sampath Abeyakun of the Supreme Court. During the session, the Deputy Solicitor General representing the Attorney General stated that the Election Commission is currently studying the reasons for the rejection of the nomination lists and requested a date to announce their decision. As a result, the Supreme Court has set April 1st as the date to reconvene and further examine the petitions. The petitions were filed by various political parties including the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, the Ceylon Workers' Congress and the Democratic Tamil National Alliance, challenging the decisions made by the returning officers to reject their nomination lists. The petitioners argue that the rejection of their nominations violates their fundamental rights and have requested the court to order the acceptance.
In the heart of Anamadua, lives are changing. For years, patients traveled miles for life-saving treatments, but not anymore. Gammatha renovated a building to establish a dialysis unit at the Anamadua Base Hospital and constructed another building to house a medical-grade water purification system. Gammatha, for the people, by the people.
Today marks day 2 of the Colombo Kamatha Festival held at the BMICH in Colombo in celebration of World Theatre Day. The festival opened with great energy, setting the tone for a 4-day celebration of theatre, art and culture.
You may ask, how did this tradition get started? I'll tell you. I don't know. But it's a tradition. Because of our traditions, everyone knows who he is and what God expects him to do.
The Colombo Kamatha Festival of Theatre is in full swing today, marking day 2 at the BMICH, Colombo. This 4-day celebration is all about the magic of theatre, where stories come to life, cultures are celebrated, and art takes center stage.
I have no choice. I will find my way. Right lens, take this.
The Colombo Kamatha Festival was launched yesterday on the World Theatre Day at the BMICH, Colombo.
We believe that the performing arts is absolutely essential in the development of a nation. We came up, in fact, to bridge a huge gap that existed for theatre people, for dance, music, because we lacked space for young people to practice, to teach, to rehearse. I think everybody here is aware that the arts, especially the performing arts, can make massive changes in society. I have often said that one good piece of theatre is worth more than 100 political speeches to achieve social change, in fact, even to make revolutions. We know how much the arts, the performing arts especially, literature, poetry, theatre, have contributed to massive changes in many societies, in many countries.
The festival will present 22 plays over 4 days, celebrating the richness of Sinhala, Tamil and English theatre. The MTV MBC Media Network is the exclusive media partner of the event. And on to news overseas. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today called a national election for the 3rd May, launching a 5-week campaign that is set to be dominated by cost of living pressures.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called a national election for the 3rd of May as the country grapples with the high cost of living and rising US tariffs. That kicked off a 5-week campaign in the lead up to the ballot day as a centre-left government seeks a second 3-year term.
This morning I visited the Governor-General and Her Excellency has accepted my advice that an election be held on Saturday, 3rd of May 2025. Over the last few years, the world has thrown a lot at Australia. In uncertain times, we cannot decide the challenges that we will face, but we can determine how we respond. Our government has chosen to face global challenges the Australian way, helping people under cost of living pressure while building for the future. Because of the strength and resilience that our people have shown, Australia is turning the corner. Now, on the 3rd of May, you choose the way forward.
The Labour Party won a majority at the last federal election in 2022, ending 9 years of Liberal National Coalition rule. According to reports, opinion polls indicate the Labour Party is currently running neck and neck with the Conservative Liberal National Coalition led by Peter Dutton.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said that Canada's old relationship with the United States, based on deepening integration of their economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. Speaking to reporters in Ottawa after a cabinet meeting, Carney said Canadians must fundamentally reimagine the economy in the face of US President Donald Trump's tariffs.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over.
Canada has retaliated with tariffs on US imports worth $41.9 billion in response to Trump's tariffs on Ottawa's exports, including steel and aluminium. Carney's government has also vowed to impose more tariffs on roughly $66 billion worth of American imports in response to Trump's latest 25% tariffs on automobiles with non-domestic components.
2 journalists were detained in dawn raids in Istanbul today as part of a crackdown on media workers covering Turkey's largest protests for more than a decade.
The demonstrations began last week following the arrest of Istanbul's opposition mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, a key rival to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Earlier this week, 11 journalists were detained in morning raids. Although initially jailed pending trial, they were freed on Thursday but still face charges of taking part in illegal rallies and marches. Thousands of people across Turkey have turned out for protests, which have so far seen more than 1,400 people detained. The protesters say İmamoğlu's arrest is politically motivated, but the Justice Ministry insists on judicial independence. A person wearing a Pikachu costume joined numerous demonstrators in Istanbul protesting against the detention of Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu. A viral video showed tumultuous scenes in Turkey's streets where protesters can be seen running from the police. One particular demonstrator dressed in an inflatable Pokemon costume is also seen attempting to escape. Michelle Dilhara, the talented Sri Lankan actress, is making her way into South Indian cinema.
After impressing audiences in Sri Lanka with her work in films, TV and the theatre, she has landed a role in a South Indian movie called Baila.
This is tonight's Happy Headlines. Good night.
Happy Headlines.
Actress Michelle Dilhara is
Happy Headlines.